Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. This is Take It to the Hizzy Fantasy Football TITTH number 183. I'm your host, Justin Bruni, but I got my co-host, Stephen Hammond, with me this Monday evening. How we doing, sir? Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. It's going good. We had what feels like a solid week of football last week or yesterday.
Yeah, a lot of exciting action. What were some of your highlights and lowlights for week 5 so far?
So I had a highlight. That would be Courtland Sutton. He exploded against the Steelers. I was not expecting that. Posted a 20-point game for me, which I had been really, really needing in one of my leagues. Low light, still trusting Robbie Anderson and sticking him in your lineup when he just doesn't do anything. And I learned my lesson. I got to start Tony Pollard or Rondale Moore and just hope for something there. And then Antonio Brown leaving him on the bench in one league, but starting him in another. And at least I got one of them.
Yeah, hey, you split hairs there. I wish I could say the same for Myles Gaskin this week. Wasn't expecting that stat line. He didn't carry the ball anywhere, but 10 catches on 10 targets. Yeah, that doesn't look so good on the bench. One league, I think I scored like either last or second to last in points. And another league, I had him on the bench. I actually scored like the most points, or I will score the most points after tonight. So kind of managing those highs and lows. I did have Antonio Brown in all my lineups, so that was nice. But there was like nobody behind him that I would have said like, oh, I gotta get this guy behind Antonio Brown in the game. So that game in general, that Tampa and Miami game was it was a sour taste in my mouth with Myles Gaskin. So that was a tough watch. Plus, I also had the under, so it wasn't good. But,
yeah.
A lot of highlights though. Still, won a bunch of fantasy games, or will win a bunch of fantasy games here after tonight. Hit a lot of picks, so still feeling pretty good about it. But yeah, there was a couple of duds where I just like that's tough. This is a tough watch for the rest of the afternoon. So. And I think I even mentioned it on Sunday's show with you and Emron, saying like, oh, yeah, just watch Gaskin bust off like a 60-yarder or something. And, then Devonta Parker gets pulled out of the game. He's going to be out. And it's like, oh, man, what do I do? So unfortunate, but we live and we learn. We'll move on. Let's jump into our best bets and picks for tonight. I'm taking Mark Andrews over 4.5 catches. He's hit that number in 3 straight games. I think he's going to be needed tonight for Lamar Jackson. Probably some Marquis Brown action as well. I think his number's at 4.5. But I really trust Mark Andrews to hit it tonight. Maybe not so much on yardage, but I do like at least the 5 catches. And I also have Michael Pittman as the leading receiver in the entire game for all receiving yards. That's paying plus 275. So, one easy one, I think, and one long shot. What do you got, Steve?
Yeah, so I got Lamar Jackson over 229 passing yards. He's hit that in every game. I get it. The Colts defense is a little tougher, but I mean, he's also played against, some really, really good teams. So I like that one to hit with ease. Hollywood Brown, I have his longest reception over 22.5 yards. Big play guy. That just seems a little too small for him. So I like that to go to the over.
Okay, sounds good. I like those a lot. Let's jump into our Monkey Knife Fight picks. I know the first one up, we're looking at some rushing props. We got Jonathan Taylor sitting at 64.5 rushing yards, paired up with Lamar Jackson at 61.5 rushing yards. I am going with the under for Jonathan Taylor, and I'm going to go with the over for Lamar Jackson. You kind of mentioned it already. The Colts secondary, not bad, right? They're 9th in the league for defensive passing yards allowed. You'd said the number for Lamar was 229?
Yes.
Yeah, so they're allowing on average 216 passing yards against per game. So you only need another 12 or 14 yards or so to hit that. So I like the odds for that a lot. But with that, I still also like the opportunity for Lamar Jackson to run a few extra plays on with the legs, right? Maybe roll out from a play action and maybe take a couple of big plays downfield with his legs. If that secondary is bodying up your Sammy Watkins, your Marquis Browns. We don't have Rashad Bateman back today, so again another reason why I like Mark Andrews. And then looking at Jonathan Taylor, he's at 64.5. He's hit that number in back-to-back games, but the Ravens rushing defense, I think they ranked seventh. Yeah, seventh in the league, 85 yards against on the ground average per game. I like the upside to still at the under for Jonathan Taylor. What do you think about these two props?
So I like the under on Jonathan Taylor. I got to go there. I think the Ravens defense will just be too much for him. And I think some of the attrition that the Indiana offense has had, I think it just doesn't really set up for him to have a big game. I like Lamar Jackson to go over here. They've pretty much abandoned Tyson Williams in the running game. I think he was a healthy scratch last week. Not sure about tonight. So I do like him to go over. I don't know how much over it'll be. I like him maybe at like the 70-yard mark. But I mean, he gets the job done there. So I like the over.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a big rushing night for Lamar. If the number was at like 71, 74, I'd still feel really good about taking the over. All right, next up, we've got Mark Andrews versus Michael Pittman. Mark Andrews is at 12.5 fantasy points, and Michael Pittman is also at 12.5 fantasy points. I know I'm taking the over for Mark Andrews on catches, but I'm going to say that he stays out of the end zone and he doesn't rally up a huge amount of yards. So I'm going to say it's going to be really close. He's actually going to hit the under 12.5. And I like a big game out of Michael Pittman. They're going to need to find some passing options, late in this game, playing from behind, in my opinion. So I think Michael Pittman's going to be in line for a big day on the air.
Yeah, so I'm a little biased. I really, really like Mark Andrews. I have him in multiple leagues, but I like the over here. I like him, like you said, to hit the catches, then add in a big total of yardage. You mentioned earlier they don't have Bateman back. Mark Andrews just is kind of that go-to reliable target on some big third downs, things like that. So I like him to go over. Michael Pittman, he's got a beat-up cast around him, so I got to ride the over here. He's the main guy.
Yeah, I agree. I think Michael Pittman's going to have a really good game. I like Zach Pascal touchdown props, Moelle Cox touchdown props, but for like catches and yardage, I want all of Michael Pittman for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we've got a three wide. It's a 5x payout. So whatever your bet is, Monkey Knife Fight's going to pay you 5x your bet. Mark Andrews, the catch prop 4.5. Michael Pittman yardage prop 55.5 receiving yards, and then Zach Pascal 3.5 receptions. I like the over for all of these. I feel like the numbers are a little too low. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. I'm really on the first two. I like those. The Pascal. That one, it's tough. Just because he's playing against the Ravens, I'm going to have to say no. He's going to go under.
Okay. All right. I think there's going to be a fair amount of opportunity late in the game. I think that they're going to be playing from behind early in this one. All right. With that, let's just jump into our Monday Night Football preview. So we got the Colts coming in as road dogs, plus 7.5 on the spread, plus 282 on the money line. Over under is at 46.5 points. Ravens are getting minus 352 on the money line. Not a lot of value there. So let's start with the spread. I think we both agree the Ravens are the better team here, but will they cover the 7.5?
I do not like them at the 7.5. I think you got to move that down. I don't hate them at the 7, to be honest, but I just think this is one of those ones that people are kind of overthinking. Everyone thinks the Ravens will win. Is it enough, though, to cover? I don't know. I will say I don't have any confidence in laying Colts plus 7.5, though, just because the Colts offense is kind of abysmal. Doesn't have much going on with it right now, so I'm going to have to say picking a side Ravens minus 7 by a point, half point down.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you pretty much in everything you said there. I bought the point down from 7 earlier today, and I have the Ravens at minus 6.5. I still really like the minus 7.5, though. I think they are going to create some separation in this game. When you look at the Ravens defense, they've been really good up against the run, but there is some holes in the secondary. They're 24th in the league for passing yards against per game. So there is a little bit of upside there for the Colts offense. And that's kind of where that cover creeps into the back of your head. Like, is this going to be another weird, Monday night game? I just don't trust Carson Wentz and the Colts, though. Where you look at some holes in the secondary for the Ravens, you're looking at Carson Wentz and, some beat up wide receivers. Michael Pittman's their best guy. They really don't have any world beaters. No T.Y. Hilton still. They're not getting elite production out of their running backs. We're not really sure, what Nyheim Hines' role is going to be, what Marlon Mack's role is going to be. I don't trust the Colts in the red zone. And quite honestly, both of these teams are mistake-ridden. I've seen, what is it? The Ravens make 5. They've made 5 turnovers in 4 games, and the Colts have 4. So that could play into the cover as well if you see some timely turnovers. But that leads me to my next question to you. What do you think about the total? I'm sticking with the under. I like under 46.5 points. I think there are going to be some mistakes from Carson Wentz, the Colts, and maybe even see, a fumble or an interception from the Ravens as well. Like I mentioned, 5 turnovers so far from their offense in 4 games.
Yeah, so I'm going to take the over here. I had, what was that game on? Oh, it's the London game. So I had Jets Falcons, had it at 45.5, and I really liked the under. And then you just saw some late game, the Jets kind of bringing it back. They needed 2 possessions to score, so they kicked the field goal, and I saw myself lose it. And I just think here the Ravens are a good team who could really put up points on the Colts. Maybe the Colts, if they could just chip in, they're part of, let's say, 21. It makes it very, very doable. I mean, at worst, they get 14, and you hope that the Ravens have a big game, which can very well happen. We saw this could very well be like a Buccaneers-Dolphins game in my mind. Ravens obviously not as good passing, and I'd love to see it. So I'm going to go over here.
I'm gonna take the under, and I'll ask you individually. What would you say to the Ravens over under 27.5 points?
I like the over.
I think there's upside to hit the over, but I'm still going to take the under. I like 27 for like their ceiling in this game. And then same for the Colts, but I'm going to lower it by a lot. What do you think about 17.5 for the Colts? It sounds like you were in on the over for the 21.
I think that, I think they can hit it. But it's one of those where even if they get 14, I'm still feeling confident in it because, like I said, I'm hitting I like the over for the Ravens. I think they got to – you just saw the Bills come out and prove that they're really one of the best teams in all the NFL right now. And you're kind of waiting to see some of that from the Ravens. We did see a little bit of it when they in a primetime game earlier this year. But I think they need to just keep it moving because we've seen this. We've seen them be very dominant in the regular season, but then it really lead to nothing. So they need to really remember this one.
All right. So we were talking before the show started about doing our charity prop, and I'm going to give you these 3 options then. So we can bet it on the total straight up at 46.5, or I'll give you the 27.5 for the Ravens, or I'll give you 17.5 still for the Colts. I feel like I should put that number at 20 because that's what they average per game is 20 points per game. But I'm going to go down to the 17.5. Any one of them, you can pick the over or under for any of them.
I will go. I'm just going to still go with the total, I think. You almost had me there with the Ravens, but I like the total.
All right. So I'm taking the under 46.5. You're taking the over.
Yes.
All right. Challenge flag is thrown. There it is. That was actually like a really good toss by me. I'm really happy about that. Didn't hit the camera or anything. It just went straight and then down. So that was awesome. Things are looking good for me already. But yeah, this prop is for our fundraiser for the Autism Society of America. If you guys could make any donations, we'd really appreciate it. You can text to the Hizzy to 44-321. Help us raise some money for a good cause. We're going to keep rolling along here. We're going to be jumping into our player and game props for the evening. We're going to mix in some exotic markets and game props as well. Let's see. We got a good while before kickoff here, so we should be able to get through quite a few of these. Let's start off with the passing yards. Steve, you're already on Lamar Jackson over, did you say 229 you got it?
Yep.
Wow. BetOnline.ag has it at 237.5. Do you still like that number?
Oof. I still do like it. He's going to be sitting right around that 240 mark probably, so I think you're really getting close. I had seen the line set at very different spots on different books, so that doesn't come too surprising. But I'll still go over here. I think maybe he just squeaks by.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the over as well. What do you think about Carson Wentz at 232.5?
I'll go under.
Yeah, I'm going under as well. I
think they get it done more on the ground, probably.
The Ravens, on average, they allow 273 passing yards per game, but we're also talking about Carson Wentz. We got Driscoll in the chat. Shout out to Driscoll saying Colts 27, Ravens 23. Upset. I'm not feeling that whatsoever.
I like that. 50, final score. Yeah, 50 points still.
Oh, yeah, you got the total there. You got the total there for sure. I'm fading Wentz tonight. Just not a believer, not a buyer. I think Driscoll was once upon a time when he was wearing those Eagle greens. Passing TDs, 1.5 for both quarterbacks. I'm going over for Lamar, under for Carson.
Yeah, I'm in agreement, sir. I think the thing you do have to worry about a little bit is Lamar Jackson putting one in on with his legs, not taking one away from passing, which is scary. But I don't think there's any chance Carson Wentz hits the over.
I agree as well. Carson Wentz to the over 1.5 passing touchdowns. It's paying plus money, so the books aren't with us as well. I really like this prop, and these numbers are kind of funny because you mentioned, where did you get that prop for Lamar Jackson's passing yards? Was that FanDuel?
DraftKings. FanDuel is at 232.5.
Okay, so that's closer to Bet Online. So DraftKings has really low.
I had it backwards. It was FanDuel was the 229. DraftKings was 232.
Okay, got it. Understood. Well, the completions for Lamar Jackson are really low for a yardage that's that high. He's at 17.5. He's hit it in every game -1. In the game that he didn't, he hit 16. So completions for Lamar Jackson, I really like this. I wanted to take it, like completions with the passing touchdowns, but that exact point that you brought up about the legs, I was like, man, I'm really in on it. Lamar rushing for a lot tonight, so I stayed away from it too. But the completions, I still really like at 17.5. Carson Wentz is at 21.5. Do you like these numbers?
I mean, I do like that Lamar one. You really just talked me into it right there.
I'm kind of having a hard time staying away from it too, to be honest.
I mean, and you just saw Carson Wentz with 21 attempts there. I do think Lamar should be a little bit higher than that. Yeah, I'm in agreement.
I'm not sure if Wentz has been hitting that number, but it also seems like a low number for Wentz. I'm going to say he hits the under, but I still think there's upside for him to go over the 21.5. But putting my money where my mouth is, I'm going to say to the under and give me the over for Lamar. Let's look at rushing yard props. We're looking at Carson Wentz, 13.5. I'm saying he's going backwards. I'm pounding that under.
Who was that?
Carson Wentz. I'm saying he's going backwards. His number's at 13.5 yards rushing.
I kind of like the over there. I think you might hit the over.
All right, I'm gonna go the under. I'm just buying into him getting sacked a bunch. 10 sacks against through 4 games so far. Let's see, Jonathan Taylor at 60.5. We already went over this. I'm still gonna take the under, even with the extra 4 yards.
I agree.
Lamar Jackson 67.5, a little bit higher than Monkey Knife Fight, but I'm still in on that 67.5.
It's gonna be close, but he just squeaks by with the over there.
Yep, I agree. Latavius Murray getting a little bit more action, 50.5 rushing yards. I think
he sits around there a lot. I know when he gets some carries.
I think I like it.
He hasn't been too impressive in his time here, but he has become kind of the clear cut there. So I like it.
Colts rushing defense averaging 114 yards against on the ground per game. A little bit of extra upside there. I'm gonna go with the over. Marlon Mack, 12.5. Does he get enough snaps, enough carries to hit this number?
I'm gonna say he doesn't. No, under.
Yeah, I want to stay away from Mack and Hines. Hines is at 14.5.
Yeah,
Hines is in my doghouse. But that means he should probably put up like 40 fantasy points tonight. Myles Gaskin is in my doghouse. Myles Gaskin scored me 0.25 points last week. Good God, scored about 26.25 more this week, you son of a bitch. All right. Tyson Williams, 25.5.
I got to go under.
I'm going the under as well. I don't think he's going to get the playing time. To me, it's just he's not accountable to throw out there on third down. Latavius Murray is going to take more touches on first and second. We haven't even mentioned Le'Veon Bell. Do we know how many snaps
he didn't do? 4, if anything. He had very, very little.
I'm going to pull it up.
Oh, snaps. I guess I don't know about that.
Yeah, I just want to know how much he's touching the field. So last week, Latavius Murray, 62%, Tyson Williams, 0, Devonta Freeman, 8%, and Le'Veon Bell, 27%, 20 snaps in his first game. So you could see that number go up a little bit. I don't want to mess with those guys.
Yeah.
Let's see, carries. Jonathan Taylor and Latavius Murray. Jonathan Taylor's at 14.5. Latavius is at 13.5. I'm going the under for Lat Murray, and I think I'm going to go the under for both. I think John Taylor's going to get game scripted out of that number.
I think Jonathan Taylor is going to get game scripted out of that, but I do think Lat Murray goes over there, and I think he'll get enough carry.
Okay. All right. I like it. Let's look at receiving yards. We're looking at Devin Duvernay, 10.5 receiving yards. Rashad Bateman still not back. I think Tylan Wallace is healthy, but not playing a lot, not touching the field too much.
I'm going to go the under. They like to use Duvernay in weird ways, like some end arounds and things like that, which I think are considered rushes. So I'm going to go no.
Yeah, he played about 45% of the snaps last week, which is 12% less than the week prior. So I'm going to go under. May not be as much of a role for him tonight as we may assume. Jack Doyle, 17.5. A little high. I'm going to go with the under.
I have to agree there. We've seen the emergence of Mo Alley Cox. Everyone's kind of fallen in love with him. I'm going to have to go the under with Doyle.
Yeah, I'm going the under there. His catch total is at 1.5. So those numbers really don't add up for me. If he was at like 8, 9 yards, maybe we could get involved. I'm going to stay away from the 17.5. See Jonathan Taylor at 13.5 receiving yards. I like the over there. I think that there is going to be a little bit more opportunity for him in the passing game. They certainly have used Nyheim Hines less in the last few weeks, so I like that over.
Yep, I got to stay on that same train. I think, and you had alluded to earlier, game script hurting Jonathan Taylor on the ground game. I think it benefits him here in the passing game. I like him to go over.
Yeah, I think he's going to go over for sure. This number is really weird, man. They got to know something that we don't. Latavius Murray, receiving yards, 3.5. Like, what am I doing here? It's like, let's gamble. Let's put some money on this. Like,
yeah, that's fair. What? Let me look up what his previous games have been.
I don't care if he doesn't have a single catch.
I don't care.
I don't care. What? 3.5 yards. 3.5 yards. It's nothing.
Yeah, they just have so many backs there where it's.
We just got done saying Williams is in the doghouse. Maybe they use
he does not even have one target this entire year.
Let's gamble. Let's make some money.
Hey, that's I can see why it's plus money.
I mean, that's just a really low number. 3.5. I'm doing it right now.
I'm doing it.
$10 holler. Let's go, baby. I had to log into my account and everything. Wasn't logged in on the laptop. Other computer had it logged in. All right, there it is. All right, let's move on. Mark Andrews, 53.5 receiving yards. I'm taking the under.
I'm going the over. Love Mark Andrews here.
Yep, I hear you. Marquis Brown, 61.5 receiving yards. What did you have his longest catch at?
22.5, I believe.
Okay, so I think we should be hitting over there, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I'll be there with you. Take the over as well. Michael Pittman is at 57.5. I'm in on that. I was already on at 55.
Yeah, I think he has a big game. And to go back on that Hollywood Brown, if he doesn't have 60 receiving yards, then the Ravens are really just doing him a huge disservice and all their fans, because they need to get him really involved and keep building him to be a better receiver rather than him just be this, boomer bust guy. They need to really grow him, get Lamar Jackson the pass catcher, and, so really throw him the ball this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also have to keep in mind for Marquise Brown, this is a home game. That means that he gets to spend a lot less on bringing his girlfriends to the game. Right? Like, I know that he's raking in the Southwest miles on those multiple accounts for all the ladies he's got rolling with him. But I don't know, man. Playing at home, a little bit easier to get those tickets to the friends and fam. I think he's going to be having a better performance tonight. Shame on ESPN if they don't cover that story.
Yes.
Mo Alley Cox, 18.5 receiving yards. 1 yard more than Jack Doyle for the guy that's being used a little bit more. I think I like it. I think I'll take the over.
Yeah, I agree. I think it just makes a lot more sense with how Indy's offense is operating. Hit the over.
Next up, Paris Forgotten Campbell, 22.5 receiving yards. Where is this guy? He's supposed to be like a fantasy darling.
Yeah. Talented, very talented. Hasn't been able to, get rid of that injury bug he's always seemed to have. just because of how limited they are, I'm going to go the over.
I think there's something there. I would love to be able to start him in fantasy. Someone that I was really high on this offseason is not hitting his numbers, not hitting the ticket. It kind of sucks, but I'll take the over as well. Here's hoping for him. Sammy Watkins, 43.5 receiving yards. I don't think that's very high. I'm going to take the over.
I agree. They're just still depleted in that receiving room. And obviously him being what seems kind of be one of the leaders, I like the over.
All right, right on. Let's move over to receptions. Jack Doyle, 1.5. Mentioned it a little while ago. Is there enough work for him?
I don't like it. I'm going to go under.
Under's paying plus money. The over is actually minus 185. I feel like this is kind of like the Latavius Murray pick as well. Like, why shouldn't I, right? Like, it's 2 catches.
Let's gamble. Let's gamble.
Let's gamble. Who do you like to hit 2 catches more because they have the same exact number at 1.5? Mo Alley Cox or Jack Doyle?
Oof, Mo Alley Cox. I got more confidence in, I feel like.
I'm just letting you spend my money today, Steve. I'm just letting you spend my money. I'm going to take that pick just because you said so. And the odds are better. Jack Doyle over 1.5 is minus 185. Mo Alley Cox is minus 167. Well, let's make some money. All right, Jonathan Taylor, 2.5 catches.
I like the over.
I kind of like it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he can hit that tonight. Mark Andrews, 4.5. We've already been over it. Marquis Brown, 4.5. We've been over it. Michael Pittman at 5. I think we get 6. Yeah, I like the 6. Naeem Hines, 2.5.
I do like 2.5. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not going to go anywhere with it, but I'll take the 2.5.
Yeah, you can't give him too much credit there. He'll catch him, but he ain't getting nowhere.
Exactly. And then we got Zach Pascal at 3.5, which I still love. Had the same monkey knife fight prop.
Yeah, I think I went under earlier, so I'm going to continue to stay the boat.
All right, cool. Let's jump over to some exotic market props. First result on the first drive: punt, offensive touchdown, field goal attempt, or any other.
This is tough because it depends on who's getting this toss
first. It really matters who gets the ball
because
first.
Colts, it's a punt.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? For the value, I'm going to go offensive touchdown with the Ravens. Just getting that plus 350. Yeah, I like it.
You know what? Punt at minus 111 is really not that bad either.
No, it really isn't.
That's like even money for a punt.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then we got any other. Any other could be like it could end in a turnover. It could be a fumble. It could be an interception. It could be a defensive touchdown. I think I like the punt. I like the minus 111. Give me a Colts first drive punt. Very classical.
I agree. Okay.
Most receiving yards in the game. I have Michael Pittman at plus 275. We're looking at guys like Marquis Brown at plus 209, Mark Andrews plus 309, Zach Pascal plus 655. You like any of these deep long shots here? Any of the favorites?
I do like Mark Andrews. I think he can do it. I really do.
I don't know, man. The Colts defense, I think they're averaging like 7 fantasy points against to the tight end position. That's why I like a lot of catches from Andrews, and I just don't like the yardage. I like I said, I've got Michael Pittman. I've got real money on that one. If I'm not going with him, I think I go with your boy Marquise Brown. You know, he's been lighting it up for them. Like I said, he's at home.
Fair.
Have multiple ladies in the stands.
I do. Now that I think about that, Mark Andrews might be tough to get Hollywood Brown yardage.
We'll see.
Yeah. I'll ride with Mark Andrews, though.
Most rushing yards in this game. I like these options. I didn't even see
Lamar Jackson, I feel like.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson at plus money is looking really juicy. Lamar Jackson plus 134, Jonathan Taylor plus 150, or Latavius Murray at plus 250. Lamar looks really good.
Yeah, I love that. And you're getting that plus, plus 134. I love that.
I like that more than the opening drive being a punt. First touchdown scorer. A lot of names here. So who comes to your mind right away? We'll say for the Colts. Who is a potential first touchdown scorer for you?
Their fullback, Ricard. Okay.
Took my answer.
I've been saying his name all night. Oh, no. First touchdown, I'm gonna go Latavius Murray. I was seeing his numbers at like plus 850 earlier. I love him.
Ricard is at plus 8,000. I was about to say no. I was gonna say the deepest option, but the deepest option is no touchdown score. I was like, what?
I love that. I don't know. It was last year when they played the Chiefs, and he got 2 touchdowns or something. I believe it was. It was absolutely bonkers. I love it.
Let's see. I was looking for some like value ones, like Mo Alley Cox at plus 1,900. That's really good.
Yeah, that is good
for the first one.
I love tight ends. I feel like usually. So even Mark Andrews, I was going to say him, but I love Latavius Murray. What's that at?
Latavius Murray's at plus 800, and Mark Andrews is also plus 800. I think the best pick to make would probably be Latavius Murray. I think that's like your safest pick. Obviously, Lamar's at plus 600, but a lot of different options can go down in the red zone with that offense, right? I mean, they run double, triple options. They roll Lamar out. He could roll out in a designed run and still pass for a touchdown. So I'll go Latavius Murray there. I think that's the best option. Let's look at some head-to-head props. More passing completions, Carson Wentz or Lamar Jackson?
I'm going to go Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson is at plus money at the plus 135. Wentz is at minus 196. The spread and the props is about four completions, 21.5 to 17.5. I think I'll go towards Lamar there. Like I said, I'm not betting big on the Colts offense tonight. I'm not bullish on them, props, fantasy, etc. More passing touchdowns, Carson Wentz or Lamar? Also going Lamar, and that's even money.
Yeah, I'm still going Lamar there.
Most passing yards, same thing. I'm going Lamar.
Yep, going Lamar.
It's
tough when it's Carson Wentz. Most rushing yards, we just kind of hit on.
Well, only between Jonathan Taylor and Latavius Murray. Yeah, it's a head-to-head duel.
I'm gonna go Latavius Murray.
Plus 106, getting a little bit of juice there. Minus 159 for Jonathan Taylor, but like me and Steve both already mentioned, it's going to be a tough battle for him tonight up against that Ravens defense. What is it? 7th in the league for average yards against per game, only 85 yards averaged against on the ground. Mark Andrews or Paris Campbell, more receptions. Wow, that's not even fair. Don't even bother. Mark Andrews is at minus 556 for this one. You think Paris Campbell can go toe-to-toe?
No, I don't think there's a chance in hell.
Not a big Paris Campbell game, says Steve. I agree with you. Let's see. Let's also more receiving yards. Those two are paired up. More receptions again. How about Zach Pascal versus Mark Andrews?
I still like here. I was saying Pascal on the under, so I still like Mark Andrews.
Okay. Let's see. Marquis Brown versus Zach Pascal on receptions. Still going Marquis?
Yep.
Okay. This one's really easy. Michael Pittman versus Sammy Watkins on yardage. Going Michael Pittman there all day.
I agree.
Here we go. Here's a closer one. Sammy Watkins versus Zach Pascal for most receptions.
That is a lot tougher. I think I might go Sammy Watkins still there, though.
Yeah, I'm going Watkins still. His production, it's not very high, but it's been pretty consistent. There's like around 3 to 4 catches every game, anywhere from like 30 to 50 yards. Like it's not great, but he's been pretty consistent, and he's just a reliable target for Lamar. All right, cool. Let's jump into our waiver wire for Week 5. We've gone through a lot of props here. Game should be kicking off in about 10 minutes. First up, we're looking at Devonta Booker. Looks like Saquon Barkley is going to be out a handful of games for the Giants. They're saying about 2 to 4 weeks. They have a bye in Week 10, so we've got another 4 games before the bye. I wouldn't expect Barkley back until after the bye, and even then, they have Tampa Bay after the bye, so I don't think there's a ton of upside to roll him out really until like weeks 12 or 13. I'm all in on Devonta Booker. I would be willing to spend some FOB on him. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, I think you're going to see Saquon miss a decent amount of time, so I think, you got to go get Devonta Booker. I'm interested to see, though, if they make any moves to get someone like a Wayne Gallman, who really wouldn't cost you much from the Falcons, familiar with the offense, and ran really, really well in it. It just depends on their confidence level with what they already have back there. But right now, Devonta Booker is a clear-cut guy who's going to step in there and get that role. I mean, he did it the moment he left. So
yeah,
I like Booker here.
Yeah, Devonta Booker only 6% rostered on Yahoo. Had 16 carries in his last game, 42 rushing yards, had the rushing touchdown, and caught a receiving touchdown. And our next guy up, we'll just kind of go to the next player because it's relative to the New York Giants, is Kadarius Toney. Kadarius Toney had another big game this week, coming off of 2 really solid games. He's got 22 targets in his last 2 games on 16 catches and well over 200 receiving yards. He had 189 yesterday, and I think he was kicked out of the game in like the third quarter or something.
Yeah,
he was ejected. Kenny Golladay, he left in the first half. They're already down Darius Slayton. They're already down Sterling Shepard. Kadarius Toney is also a little bit beat up. We don't know of his status just quite yet for week 6. So with that, I think that lends even more upside for Devonta Booker. So we should really be pushing more so over him. But with the receivers all banged up, including Kenny Golladay, are you still in on going after Kadarius Toney with, kind of his status still being up in the air for week 6?
So what was that question you posed right there?
I was just kind of reiterating that we need to be all in on Devonta Booker, but beyond that, are you still in on grabbing a guy like Kadarius Toney, who's only owned in about 17% of Yahoo leagues right now? Like, there's still a fair amount of him out there in redraft leagues. Obviously, a lot of people targeted him in Dynasty because he was a first round wide receiver. He's I think he was the first wide receiver off the board, wasn't he? Yeah. So, and he's showing it for
not first wide receiver off the board. He had Jamar Chase. He had all those ones before.
Yeah, top 10. Kind of hard to forget.
Yeah. But no, Kadarius Toney, I like him for the point that you mentioned, though. Kenny Golladay we don't know where, his health seems to be in the shitter right now. So he's out. It's really been just that whole Giants receiving crew. They've all been just terribly banged up all year. It just kind of seems like next guy up. Might I say it, though, John Ross looks so good on them Giants. Let's just keep him rolling. I want to see him. I want to see him just burning people. I want to see that one work out. So, but I like Toney. He seems to really find his groove with Daniel Jones. Also, we need to see what's up with Daniel Jones. Left the game with concussion. But he's definitely worth a grab and stash for sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely grab Toney. Maybe you're not starting him this week. He's going up against the Rams. It's really going to be dependent on who's healthy there. Toney could even be limited this week as well on snap counts. They still use, like you mentioned, John Ross. They're also using CJ Board there. They might even bring in, another running back. You mentioned Wayne Gallman. You're looking at a guy in Marlon Mack tonight that sounds like he's openly available out of the Colts trading block. So next guy up here we have is Marquez Callaway. I'm surprised this guy's not rostered in more leagues. 30% rostered on Yahoo. He had 4 catches this last game, 85 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. But even the game prior to that, he had 74 receiving yards. And the game prior to that, he had a touchdown. So in his last 3 games, he's either had 50 receiving yards, 4 catches, or a touchdown. So I think there's a lot of upside to still grab him. And he's playing like the most shares at the wide receiver position. I don't understand why this guy isn't owned.
Yeah. I do agree with you. He needs to be owned. Very disappointing to start this season, especially after being touted as the Saints #1. He strung together 2 really nice games. That 74-yard one, it was only on 2 catches. Not to really, don't want to take too much credit away from it because it's 74 yards. But you'd like to see the targets and the receptions be higher. They got their bye week coming up. Soon Mike Thomas is going to be coming back, so he's really going to eat into Callaway's load. But for now, I do think you got to get him a top pass catcher in an offense. And you never know. Maybe Mike Thomas doesn't come back when he's able to be, come off the IR. Maybe they, who knows where he's at with recovery. We haven't really heard too much on that front.
I don't know. I feel like the depth that you would get back from like Michael Thomas and even Traquan Smith could put Marquez Callaway in even better position to catch more targets per game, just because there's going to be a little bit more availability in the passing offense when you have a guy like Michael Thomas potentially opening things up for you underneath. Traquan is a guy that, he doesn't have afterburners, but he's got some decent speed, and I think he's going to be back in another week or so. But I almost feel like those guys coming back would, like I said, would give more opportunity for Callaway. So he's definitely a guy I would want to get and hold on to. You don't have to start him.
He also had that fluke Hail Mary play this week. I forgot about that.
Yeah. But like, I think the most important stat to keep in mind with Callaway is that he has double the snaps of any other receiver on this team. He is always on the field.
I don't buy too much into that right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, I get it. They don't look great, right? And they're also going into a bye. So I don't think he's a guy that you need to spend a ton of fob on, but he's definitely someone that you want to stash for after that bye, because even if you get Traquan Smith back or Michael Thomas back, he's still going to play a lot. He's still going to get a ton of shares in that offense.
Yeah.
All right, next guy up we have is Ricky Seals-Jones. Ricky Seals also playing a ton with Logan Thomas out. He had 93% of the snaps with that first game with Thomas out. He had 97% of the snaps this week. The numbers aren't there. Like they're not great. Only 5 catches on 8 targets and 41 receiving yards. But if you're in a deep league and you need a tight end, I like the upside for Ricky Seals-Jones just because he's constantly going to be on the field. And you have a guy in Heineke that's going to extend plays with his legs. He's going to roll out. There's going to be some play action. And I feel like he's a higher end touchdown dependent option. Am I too crazy with that?
No, I think you hit it right on the head, and definitely in deeper leagues where you got to find some of these guys who are off the beaten path a bit. Obviously, in like a 10-team league for someone, you're probably not looking at Ricky Seals-Jones, but definitely in deeper leagues, you gotta get it where you can. So I do like that. Heineke really just is kind of a magician out there, and he can find Ricky Seals-Jones as he's scrambling outside or something. So I do like Seals-Jones.
I wish Heineke could magically make some of those interceptions disappear.
Yeah,
that wasn't so great. They were a better offense than the Raiders this week. I started Heineke over Derek Carr in my Scott Fishbowl league, and I was like, man, like, I don't think the Raiders are going to do much up against the Bears. And obviously being biased as a Bears fan, like that's, kind of tough to swallow sometimes, because you're just like, man, am I buying too much into my own team, or is this like the real deal? And man, the football team, they'd get down to the red zone. They hand it right off to Antonio Gibson. It's killing me. Yeah. And then the 2 interceptions, it was awful. I got Lamar to Duvernay on the first completion of the game. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Well on our way to 18, baby. Let's go. Next guy up here we have is Alex Collins. Obviously, we're not sure what the status of Chris Carson is going to be for week 6 yet, but even if he's healthy, I still like Alex Collins as a deep flex play. 25 carries across the past 2 weeks, 47 rushing yards this last game, 44 the game before, and a touchdown the game prior to that. I feel like there's going to be a little bit more upside with Geno Smith in the lineup. They're going to need to lean on the run a little bit more. I'm okay spending a little extra on Alex Collins. How about you?
Yeah, with Geno Smith under center, they're definitely going to be relying on the run game a lot more. You also, I heard about this injury that Chris Carson's been dealing with, it doesn't seem like it's something that's necessarily going away. It kind of seems like this has been bothering him for some time. So I think Alex Collins is going to. I wish I would have liked how Alex Collins ran more against the Rams. He really was just making some questionable cuts, what gaps he was hitting. So I'm not necessarily, oh my gosh, you got to have Alex Collins. I think kind of what you said earlier about Callaway, his usage will probably be there in the next coming weeks until either Russell Wilson gets back or, whatever happens there. Chris Carson gets fully healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. And realistically, we could see Chris Carson just come back this week and get a ton of work. So it's kind of a wait and see situation still. Only 37% rostered though.
Yeah, that's
still a guy I think that should be owned. And we are punting on the first drive. We are punting.
Hey, minus 111.
Not bad value. All right, next guy up we have one of our own Chicago Bears, Khalil Herbert. The fantasy points didn't blow up on you. He had 75 rushing yards on 18 carries, but that role is there. With David Montgomery headed IR, he's going to miss at least 3 games. Khalil Herbert had a higher snap percentage. He had more touches than Dame Harris. Dame Harris had the better fantasy day, but obviously they're going to go back and forth. It looks like in the next couple of weeks, we got Green Bay, Tampa Bay, the Niners. It seems like they're going to need both of these guys. I think Khalil Herbert should be rostered. You agree?
Yeah. So, obviously a lot of people with Saquon going down this week, there's people who are going to be looking for running backs. And here's a guy, he posted 75 yards on the ground, just couldn't find the end zone, which was definitely a huge part in his fantasy production lacking. But he really looked great. I was pessimistic going into him, watching him run. I didn't really thought he was going to be more of a special teams guy. Didn't really expect him to explode on the scene, but he looked good. was making guys miss. I think you got to roster him here in a season where, whether you drafted J.K. Dobbins early, tried getting on the Gus bus, and then everyone's hurting for running backs. It seems like that's every year.
Yeah, absolutely. So he's 19% rostered. So he's definitely a guy that I'd be willing to spend some fob on. It's just a good situation there for the Bears. They're really going to lean into the run, especially with a rookie quarterback in Justin Fields. Very similar to what I said about the Seahawks leaning into Collins and Carson when available because of Geno Smith filling in for Russell Wilson. Next man up here, we got Samaje Perine getting in the game with Joe Mixon hurt. Joe Mixon still playing a fair amount. Perine outsnapped him 61% to 28%. With Joe Mixon, kind of beat up, kind of in the middle, we'll say, with his health, right? Mixon did find pay dirt, but so did Perine. Had 11 rushing attempts and 59 rushing yards, and also caught a pass for a touchdown. I think I like Perine this week going up against Detroit. I don't know if the role is going to be there week in and week out because Mixon's like not completely out. He's got one foot in the door still with his health. So I like Perine up against Detroit. And if you're really hurting this week, maybe it's like a bye running back or somebody that got hurt, I would be willing to spend a fair amount of fob on Perine. How about you?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, and I think if the Bengals I think Perine can be someone that should be the rest of the season that can really contribute. He's the number 2 guy there to Mixon. Mixon was playing a bit. Obviously, it'll flip, and you'll see Mixon get a majority of the work, yes. But why don't they bump that down a bit for Mixon, who always seems like he's getting hurt? Perine did excel, I feel like, in that role. He was getting pass catches. So to extend the health of Mixon, I'm all for, roll him out there more. He was making some really impressive plays.
Mm-hmm. What you saw from Mixon so far, do you think you're going to be comfortable starting him this week?
Yeah. I mean, there was things he was doing on Sunday where he looked great. He snatched the ankles of that linebacker for the, what do we got over here?
Jonathan Taylor house call. Wow.
Really?
This is going to be a tough cover by my friend. 76-yard reception touchdown for Jonathan Taylor.
Hey, it was a reception, though?
Yeah, it was a screen out of the backfield. It was
we hit our over there. We both were taking over 13, I believe it was. So.
Oh, yeah, that was easy money, baby. Let's go. That is a pass. I mean, it's
to
really
the Hizzy,
helpful.
Just making everybody money.
That's right, sir. That's right. It's really helpful when Carson Wentz doesn't have to throw the ball downfield and he gets a touchdown.
Yeah.
But if you gave me that 1.5 number for Wentz, I'd still take the under right now, even with 1. I don't think he gets another one. Nice play call. That's a Frank Reich play right there for sure. All right, last guy up here, and then we're going to head out and try to enjoy our Monday Night Football. Not a great start. Mecole Hardman. Kind of a weird situation for Mecole with Kansas City. Coming off a great game, at least for fantasy-wise, 12 targets, 9 catches, 76 receiving yards. The game before that, a dud, I would say. 2 catches, 3 targets, 16 yards. Had a touchdown the game before that on 3 and 4, 3 catches, 4 targets. And the game before that, he had 5 catches on 8 targets for 55 yards. So 3 out of his last 4 games have been what I would call fantasy productive. But I just don't love the situation there. He's not on the field a lot. Right around 50% if he can get it. 65% is kind of like a surplus for him. But I felt like last night it was just matchup oriented. Is this a stat line or production that we should feel safe with him going forward? Or should it be, just kind of be, it's just going to be a Hill Kelsey show. These little weeks are going to pop in and up. We're not going to know when it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a huge Mecole Hardman truther since the day he got drafted to the Chiefs. I thought it was a perfect fit, and it just really hasn't panned out. He puts these games up where he, does something crazy like this, and then it's just going to be boom or bust. He is rosterable, I think, because if you're ever in a pinch, if I had him and with Robbie Anderson, I think sometimes it's worth throwing him in because it's pretty much the same dart throw for either of them. I just think you're going to be playing with a lot of boom or bust with him.
It's not a guy that I'm really interested in grabbing. Honestly, he's at 43% rostered on Yahoo. Just when I look at the inconsistency at the stat line and the production, that's kind of why I wanted to bring him up. And he's also coming off a big game, so I suspect in a lot of leagues he's still available. In my league, he's owned. It's a 14-team league, so that's kind of to be expected at that type of depth. I had a 20-team league this week where I would have loved having me Mecole Hardman. I was missing David Montgomery. I was missing Julio Jones. I was missing Devontae Parker. You can imagine missing those 3 guys in a 20-team league. My starters were pretty thin. I was looking at Trey Sermon and Jalen Guyton had his best production of the season.
Yeah, hey, 5.5 there was a points, shootout baby. In that one.
yeah, exactly. They score 47 points. Jalen Guyton gets 5.5. Let's go. Yeah, it was brutal. I had to start Guyton and Keenan Allen. So that was one of those leagues I was just like really checked out of, and I was going up against an 0-8 team. It was terrible. Oh. It's 8 because we play against the median score. So my team in comparison was 6-2. I can afford a couple of losses because my team didn't score any points, so I'll be below the median there as well. I'll be 6-4 this week. But man, weird start to this game here. We're going to be heading out. Do you have anything to add before we jump out of here?
No, we're on to Thursday next.
Yes, sir. Who do we have this Thursday? It's a Thursday night game.
We got Buccaneers Eagles.
I was going to say I thought it was the Buccaneers and somebody. Yeah, that'll be a pretty good game. Eagles coming off a win. Buccaneers coming off a huge win. Not feeling great about it. Probably the week to start Kenny Gainwell. It wasn't this week. We'll see what happens. But, we're going to jump out of here, guys. We really appreciate you joining in with us this Monday night. If you haven't already, please be sure to smash the like button and share the video and follow us at youtube.com/take it to the Hizzy. I'm going to go and hope for some Ravens touchdowns and scores. We got Lamar Jackson. Hey, another completion of Andrews. Let's go. All right. We're moving the chains. All right. Take care. Be well, everybody. Be good. If you can't be good, be good at it. Later.